Hello, my viewers. How are you doing today? This is your host, Christine, and I want to welcome you to the lifestyle tips. Um, for those that are joining me for the first time, I want to welcome you. You're right at the right spot. And for those that have been following my previous episodes, I want to thank you so much for the support and welcome back. Now, for today's topic, I'm going to be talking to my fellow parents out there, including the dads, right? And we're going to be talking about tips that have to do with our children and how we can get our children to get enough sleep and how we can get our children off those gadgets. Okay, because sometimes after school, our kids are involved in some programs, and then when they get home, they are on those gadgets. And at times, they spend a lot more time on those gadgets than they should, and or they might be doing some extracurricular activities at home that do not allow them to get to bed on time. So we're going to be talking all about that. We're going to be talking about getting the kids on how getting the kids on getting enough sleep and reducing on the curricular activities, including gadgets. So I hope you're ready and I hope you're comfortable. Let's roll. Okay, so for today's topic, as you all may or may not know, I like to read through magazines. I do a little bit of homework. I read through magazines and share tips that I think would be useful to me, but might also be useful to you. And I hope you find these tips useful. And if you do, please don't forget to subscribe or share these tips with some other parents out there. Okay, so the tips are from the City Parent magazine, Family Guide. This magazine, it's a free magazine. You can actually pick it up from my Canadian viewers. You can pick it out at different stands, like at public places like libraries. And they do have some pretty neat information, like information that has to do with camps, extracurricular events, attractions, and much more. So yeah, and this covers Toronto, Peel, and the York region. So for those who are based in Canada, you can actually get this free copy for yourself. Okay, so I hope you're ready, and I'm gonna quote the magazine here. Sleep boosts learning. That's the topic. More bedtime can make our kids smarter. Okay, but before I go into the tips and what you need to do, I'm gonna read a little bit about this topic, today's topic, and here we go. A new study reports that sleeping near cell phones puts teens at risk for so-called sleep texting. And I don't know if I'm just coming across this word for the first time when I read this article. I didn't know there was such thing as sleep texting, but here the magazine talks about that. Okay, waking up and firing off text messages during the night without any recollection of having sent the text the next morning. Okay, so if you have your preteens or teens that sleep with their gadgets like the cell phone, this could be, and you've experienced this, today's topic is going to help us on how we can avoid that from happening. So I'm going to continue and read a little bit more into the article before we actually get to the tips. Okay, so you want your kids to bring home straight A's. Start with more Z's. I'm sure you know what that means. According to sleep experts and numerous new studies, lost sleep hurts learning and hinders school day success. That's bad news because today's kids get about an hour less each night than they did 30 years ago, says New York Times best-selling author Pro Bronson in his book Nature Shock. New thinking about children. This lost sleep comes with a steep price tag, impaired learning and academic success. How does sleep boost learning? Researchers believe it has to do with the way the brain processes information during sleep. In fact, Michigan State University researchers found that children can learn while they are asleep as the brain integrates new information and memories. Researchers from the University of Florida discovered that newborns learn in their sleep, and new research from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine shows that sleep helps students perform better on tests. So you heard it, parents there. It's important for the kids to get enough sleep because, again, it makes them smarter, it makes them perform much better based on all the other details that we've had here. So I'm going to continue on with some of the tips that we need to put into practice to make that, to help our children and to help our young ones achieve enough sleep. Okay, so here we go. Sleep deprived children may not appear sleepy, says Shelby F., director of the Behavioral Sleep Medicine program at Montefiore Medical Center in New York. In fact, they may act hyper and goofy, but preschoolers and school-age children don't outgrow the need for a consistent bedtime and bedtime routine. Establish an age-appropriate bedtime that allows your child to rest 10 to 11 hours each night. Okay, all right, and this is pretty. I'm not gonna really chat much more into these details because they are pretty obvious. Um, it's self-explanatory. We need to, get the kids into a pattern of going to bed early so they can get, as you had it, 10 to 11 hours sleep. Okay, number two, parents need to understand sleep's importance and guard kids' sleep hours zealously, says Explain God. That means maintaining firm school year bedtimes and choosing after school and evening activities that end at least an hour before kids need to wind down for bed. All right, so again, just to talk a little bit more about that, I guess my understanding of this is that we gotta, whatever activities the children are involved in, you gotta get those activities done and give them an hour's break prior to them going to bed. So which I believe is difficult because sometimes if you have more than one, you have more than two kids or three kids, sometimes it can be challenging get everybody on routine. But I think the key is to try and get into that regular routine, and I guess it gets easier with time. Well, I think this is an important tip that we need to consider. Okay, number three, protect teens' pressure sleep with a media curfew. Shut down all electronics an hour before bed and establish a charging station outside the bedroom where the teens leave their electronics overnight. The important step keeps bedrooms free of sleeping, disrupting cell phones and computers, says Harris. The bedroom should be a place for sleep. As she notes, it's not a spot for homework, watching TV, or surfing the net. When it comes to learning, tutors, cutting edge gadgets, and hours of homework cannot compensate hours for hours of lost sleep. When parents prioritize kids' sleep needs, learning comes more naturally, says Slingard. We think we are helping make kids more successful with more activities and more homework, but what they really need is more sleep. All right, so that is it, folks, for now. I hope you find these tips important. I know it's not easy sometimes for parents, it's not easy for us to get certain things into routine, but I guess at the end of it all, it pays off if you start. If you gotta start from somewhere. And I like the last tip of not letting young ones have electronics, not only teenagers, but even any young ones that have gadgets. I think it's a pretty neat idea not to let them have in, go to bed with their gadgets. Establishing a station, a charging station, or even keeping those devices close to you as a parent, or I think that's really very helpful. So it kind of gives you that, gives you some of that control back. Anyhow, it's been a pleasure and it's been very enlightening for me. I hope I can. I'm planning on applying some of these tips here. I hope you find them useful. It's been a pleasure talking to you once again. I've been your host, Christine. Please don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like. And if you have any other topics that will, any other tips that relate to this topic, please feel free to share. And once again, thank you and have yourself a great day. Cheers.